All right, so to continue, as I said, the one thing is, yeah, my swag flow was off. So, but like I said, I lost the swag flow in college. But I'm not gonna get into that. But also, my ex didn't know that I discovered theory of everything. She didn't know my situation with my family. So, like I said, I do think that if my mom and dad would have just, if they would have done this a long time ago, it would have helped. But I probably wouldn't even have gotten myself in a relationship with a single mom to an El Salvadorian guy. If I had some support from my mom and dad, but my mom and dad didn't support me. So, and then my ex wanted to meet my mom and dad for Thanksgiving because, she was pregnant with my baby and but then my mom, I'd asked my mom even when she first got pregnant because I was hoping that the baby would help me to rekindle a relationship with my mom and dad. But my mom said, or regain a relationship with my mom and dad. But my mom said, Ryan, we're never going to talk to you. You have to accept that. You just have to accept that. And again, that stems from high school and middle school when the high school when the shooting machine had messed up my shot. My dad was telling me to do the wrong thing, and my dad would be like, Ryan, your shot looks terrible. Shoot sideways, you're shooting square, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know it was a shoot away machine that was a problem. Now I know, and I'll show that more later. But, and then my grandpa comes in, Ryan really wants his independence. This is normal. What happens? This is very normal that kids in high school start fighting with their dad because they want independence. That's not what I wanted. What I wanted was my shot was messed up, and me and my dad were trying to fix it. We didn't know how to fix it. So my mom was like, okay, make him independent. Get him out of our lives. And then, because my dad started abusing me at that point, and I felt like I needed my dad's help, and I'm like, Dad, can you please help me? My dad's like, I can't. I give up. You suck now. And then my grandpa's like, Ryan, your dad, you have to accept the calls from your dad. He went to the psychologist, and then the psychologist was like, I told the psychologist, because my dad would be shooting with me, but he would make it capricious. If I had a good game, my dad would go out and he'd shoot with me. And he'd be looking at my shot, be like, your shot's looking good. He'd start passing me. Now I know that when he passed me, my shot would get better because I wasn't picking the ball off the rack. But, but that's why I know if my dad never got the shoot away machine, none of the problems would have happened in the first place. But my grandpa's like, I want to tell the psychologist, like, let's make up, rather than being capricious where my dad would just shoot with me whenever he feels like it, let's do it like once a week for 15 minutes. That would make things a lot better. So then my dad could just look at it, tell me if there's something wrong, and try to fix it. I didn't know that my dad didn't know that it was a shoot away machine, but that was a problem at the time. So it was futile anyways. But that would have been better than the capricious nature of what he was doing. But then my grandpa's like, Ryan, if your dad says he doesn't want to shoot with you, well, then the doctor, I told the doctor this, and my doctor was like, yeah, well, maybe do once a week. But then my dad was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So then I was like, my grandpa's like, Ryan, if your dad says, that he's not going to do that, you have to accept it. You have to, everything is fine. You just have to accept. And then my mom's like, yeah, Ryan, you have to fucking accept it. Because I'm like, Dad, my dad looks at me. He looks at me shooting. My dad's like, he walks in the backyard. He's like, your shot looks horrible. And I'm like, well, Dad, can you help me? And he's like, I can't help you. You're terrible. I don't know. You fucking suck now. There's no use. He's like, you're not going to play in the NBA anymore. Or you go to my game and be like, you play terrible. I'd be like, Dad, can you help me? And he's like, it's no use. I can't help you anymore. And then I'd be like, Dad, I need your help, man. Can you just shoot with me for a little bit? No, I give up. And then my mom would be like, Ryan, you have to accept bad calls. You have to accept his calls. And, you have to accept it. If he says no, you have to accept it. My grandpa's like, Ryan, everything is fine. Everything is in the universe's energy. You have to accept. It's a tragic situation. Like I said, but my mom and dad want to believe is they want to think that I had a mental illness and I had mental problems. And no matter what, there would have been problems with me and my mom and dad. That's what they want to believe. But the fact of the matter was, I was amazing. My swag flow was incredible. I was perfect. And there was no problems with me. I was good grades in high school, good grades, everything. I was perfect. What they have to realize is, no, there wouldn't have been inevitable problems. My mom wants to think that I became mentally ill, and that's what happened to my shot. No, if it wasn't for the shoot away machine, none of it would have happened. So, anyways, back to the story. So, my mom tells my ex that she's not going to see me, that she'll never see me because my ex called my mom. So my ex is going to make assumptions. What's going to go through her mind? She's going to think, well, Ryan must have done terrible things. He must be a terrible person. She doesn't know that I'm not a terrible person, that I discovered a theory of everything, that I had, straight A's throughout school, that I was always fucking perfect, she doesn't know that my mom and dad hadn't even seen me for 20 years. So the fact that they think I have a mental illness is a stupid assumption that is false. So my ex is, she's going to make assumptions. She's going to think, oh, Ryan, you must really. And then, so I have to tell my ex, I'm like, my mom thinks I'm mentally ill. I'm not, but I said, my mom thinks I have schizophrenia, but I don't. My ex doesn't know the quadrant model. She doesn't know that I discovered theory of everything. So she goes, oh, do you have schizophrenia? I think you do have schizophrenia. So, that didn't help the situation. And then, like I said, then my ex lies to me about going to a party. And then after the party, or, she says that she's going to go to movies, but she really was going to go to a party. Then I catch her on it. And then she gets mad at me for catching her. Because, again, she had no respect for me. And that's why she wanted to go to a party without me in the first place. But she didn't have respect for me. So then I'm trying to text her, hey, how's everything going? And the reason why I'm concerned and it's legitimate was she had 3 abortions before. She told me that after she was pregnant with my baby. She said, I had 3 abortions before and that made my cervix messed up. So you're going to have to take care of me during this pregnancy. And one of the things she had me do is she had me pay for her groceries. So I spent probably over $1,000 on groceries for her. But she said, you have to pay for me for, during this pregnancy. You have to take care of me because, I had a short cervix and I'm going to have to get a cerclage because I had 3 abortions. So I was concerned after she throws me to the side after she lied to me about going to a party. I was concerned she was going to get an abortion, and that's legitimate. So I'm texting her, hey, sweetie, how's everything going? How's the baby? You're not thinking of getting an abortion, are you? And people might think, oh, you're paranoid. You have problems. No, she had 3 abortions before, and then she's not responding to my text messages. So I legitimately was concerned. And that's, and people say that's a big sign of disrespect. If she's not responding to my text messages, she doesn't respect me. She doesn't care about me. I was really worried. And, she's pregnant with my baby, and she's not responding to my text messages for weeks. So then, like I said, I ended up catching her Snapchatting some other guy. And, then again, I'm the bad guy for catching her, And then so then she stopped, she stops texting me again. She ghosts me, I'm not allowed to go back to her place, and she's ghosting me again, and I'm texting her out because I'm worried because I'm like, I caught her Snapchatting this other guy. She's not messaging, she's not responding to my text messages. In my mind, I'm thinking, she's had 3 abortions before. I'm thinking she's probably going to get another abortion. That's what I was worried about. And, a lot of people some people might say, oh, you're paranoid. No, she's not responding to my text. That's a clear sign that she doesn't respect me, that she doesn't care about me. So she's not responding to my text. Of course, I'm going to be concerned that she's going to get an abortion, especially if she's had 3 abortions before. So I remember I texted her. One of the texts I said, hey, sweetie, how's everything going? Is the baby okay? I said, did you get an abortion? Is the baby okay? Because I was legitimately concerned she was going to get an abortion because she had 3 abortions before and she wasn't responding to my texts for weeks. So what else would you think? And she clearly doesn't respect me. She clearly doesn't like me, So, and then, like I said, I would call my mom and I'd be like, Mom, can you please talk to my ex? Because, I'm concerned she might get an abortion because she's had 3 abortions before and she's not responding to me. My mom be like, Ryan, she clearly doesn't like you. She clearly fucking doesn't like you. When someone doesn't like you and doesn't want anything to do with you, you have to just accept that. You have to just accept it, Ryan. God, this is your fucking problem. You don't fucking accept things. She doesn't like you. You have to accept that. She doesn't want anything to do with you. And again, my mom is doing the same thing. And it's sent from high school when my shot got messed up. And I'm like, Dad, I need your help. And my mom was like, Ryan, he doesn't want to help you. You have to accept that. She didn't know if it wasn't she thinks there's something wrong with me. So again, now, was it illegitimate that I was concerned that she was going to get an abortion? No, it wasn't. And my mom, if I had a normal mom, my mom would call my ex and alleviate some of my stress and ask her, hey, I heard that you were Snapchatting some other guy and that you've been disrespecting my son. And I heard that you that you're not responding to his text messages. How's everything going with the baby? But instead of that, my mom gives me the sage advice. You have to accept that. No, it's just because my mom doesn't like me. She hasn't seen me for 20 years. She assumes I'm mentally ill. And I'm going to get to that more in the things. She assumes I'm mentally ill. She doesn't have any respect for me. And my mom also, and I'm going to get to this, the main problem was my grandpa, because my mom misinterpreted my grandpa's teachings. And I'm going to get to that in future lectures, in the lectures I'm making. So my mom my grandpa's like conservative teachings, my mom misinterpreted. My grandpa even says that he says she expresses predator-prey software. He says that she's very immature. But my mom thinks that she's doing what my grandpa taught. I just want him to be independent. I want him out of my life. No, that's not what my grandpa taught. But my grandpa says, your mom is very immature and very, she says very immature, very low level software. My grandpa doesn't want to say that you said, don't say she's stupid or don't say anything like that, because that would be judgmental. And that's, so he just says that she's immature and she's ignorant. She ignores her higher wisdom. So anyways, so then, like I said, I made the mistake and I put her daughter outside because she was supposed to be on bed rest. The doctor told her she had to be on bed rest. And, but she wasn't being on bed rest because she had to take care of her daughter. So we went to Kids Empire and she's moving around, and she had called off work, but she's still moving around Kids Empire. And that upset me. So I'm telling her, when we get back to her place, I'm telling her, like, you have to find someone to help take care of your daughter, because you can't be on bed rest and take care of her at the same time, because her daughter is getting up and moving around all the time. And so was my ex. And again, she didn't respect me. She didn't even, the doctor said she had to be on bed rest, and she's not following the doctor's orders. She's acting like an idiot taking care of her daughter. So I got upset at the daughter. I put the daughter outside because the daughter was disrespecting me. The daughter pointed me to go outside, and, I made that mistake. And then I knew after I made the mistake, I was like, shit, now she's not, because my ex told me, in order for my baby to survive, she said, in order for my baby to survive, I need to take care of her during the pregnancy, because she wanted my mom to take care of her, but my mom wouldn't, because my mom wouldn't see me. And my mom wouldn't come to Los Angeles, and she wouldn't see me. So my ex said that I have to take care of her, and she said that her family wouldn't take care of her, because she said that her family, she already was kind of like in bad straits with her family, because she had, stole from her mom to get drug money and do all that type of stuff. So, I had to take care of her. And but then when I put the daughter outside, I realized I made a mistake in getting angry, and she wasn't going to let me take care of her, because I was like, so in my mind, I was like, okay, I made a mistake, but I won't do something like that again. So I told my ex, just, call me the next day. I'll take care of you. I'm sorry that I got upset with your daughter, after her daughter kicked her in the stomach and was acting crazy and stuff. But I was like, but you also need to tell your baby dad that you're pregnant, so that he can help take care of your daughter, and I can help take care of you, so that you can be on bed rest like the doctor said. So then I'm trying to text her the whole day the next day, and she's doing the same thing she did the whole pregnancy. Like I said, at one point during the pregnancy, I had messaged her. I said, this was when she was ghosting me. This was before. And I said, hey, how's everything going? I said, did you have an abortion? Is the baby okay? And then she responded, yes, everything is fine. And I remember I thought to myself, fuck, does that mean that she had an abortion and everything is fine? Or does that mean, yes, the baby's okay, everything is fine? Because I sent the message, did you have an abortion? Is the baby okay? And then she responded, yes, everything is fine. And I was thinking, oh, fuck, she had an abortion. Because I don't know if she's fucking crazy, because, again, she didn't fucking respect me. Maybe she did that on purpose to try to fuck with me. But that was before. That was during the time when she ghosted me after she had been messaging Jared, Snapchatting Jared. Because, again, she didn't respect me at all. And Jared was some lawyer guy, So then, I'm messaging her, and I'm like, hey, sweetie, how's everything going? Can I see you today? Because she has to be on bed rest, and she told me that in order to be on bed rest, she needs to take care of her. But, then I got upset with her daughter, and now she's not responding to me. And in my mind, I'm worried, because I'm like, shit, she has to be on bed rest. She's probably moving around all day, taking care of her daughter, doing stuff, and she needs me to help take care of her. So that's when I went to her daughter's preschool. Now, this is where people say, my ex tried to make me out to be a stalker. She wrote on the restraining order, he went to my daughter's school. It makes it look like I'm some sort of creep who went to her daughter's school. No, I went to her daughter's school to talk to the principal, and I said to the principal, hey, my my girlfriend is pregnant with my baby. The doctor said she needs to be on bed rest, but she hasn't told, she's over 4 months pregnant. She's like 4.5 months pregnant. She hasn't told her baby dad that she's pregnant. She hasn't told her family. And I'm supposed to be taking care of her, but she's not responding to me. And the doctor said, in order for the baby to survive, and she said, in order for the baby to survive, she needs to be on bed rest. So someone needs to tell the baby dad that her daughter's mom is pregnant and needs to be on bed rest. And so can someone help me in this situation? But they wouldn't get me in touch with the baby dad. But they did say that it was wrong for her to do that, and she needs to be a responsible adult and tell the baby dad. So I was like, yeah, exactly. So then like I said, she ended up getting a restraining order. Because, I call her and I'm like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? You're supposed to be on bed rest. I'm supposed to be taking care of you. Why aren't you responding to my text? This was like a few days later. And then she goes, you went to my daughter's school? Ah! Like I did something stupid. No, she's the one who's being fucking stupid. So then she ended up getting a restraining order because I told her, I said, listen, because in my mind, I was thinking she's going to get an abortion because she said in order for the baby to survive, she needs to be on bed rest. And she said, in order for that to happen, I need to take care of her because no one else is going to take care of her. But now she's not letting me take care of her. And she's not responding to my text messages. So I'm thinking in my mind, she's probably just going to get an abortion. So then that's when I told her, if you kill my baby, I'm going to make your life hard. That's what I told her. So then, and it was just that. And then so she went to get a restraining order and she wrote on the restraining order, he said that no, she didn't even say if I kill the baby. She just said, he said that he's going to make my life hard. That's all she said on the restraining order. But she got the restraining order against her baby dad and her whole family because I was telling her that I was going to get in contact with her family and let them know that she was pregnant. So now that I'm definitely thinking, oh, she's definitely going to get an abortion because she's trying to hide me from her family and her baby dad. And I can't take care of her because I have a restraining order. She gave me a temporary restraining order. So now I'm thinking, okay, she's definitely going to get an abortion. But she was done because she wrote all their names on the restraining order. So now I knew all their names. So I just looked them up online and I went to her baby dad's place and I told him, what was going on. And he said, yeah, she's a liar. She was a drug addict. She used to sell herself sexually for drugs. And he's telling me all these horror stories about his ex or about his baby mom. And then I tried to call her, but I asked him, well, can you help take care of her daughter or help her to be on bed rest? Because, she said that in order for the baby to survive, she needs to be on bed rest. And he said that he couldn't help. This is her Salvadorian baby dad. And apparently he was there for the abortion. So then I went to try to call her parents and her sisters. And like I said, nobody responded except one of her sisters. And I tried to tell the sister, because in my mind, I'm like, I was hoping that the baby would help my situation because I was hoping that the baby would help me get back in contact with my parents. Maybe, it would be a bridge to get back in contact with my parents. And I was hoping that maybe I could start, be a part of her family. Maybe her mom and dad and her sisters will let me in their lives and they would maybe support me a little bit because I discovered the theory of everything, the quadrant model. Maybe I can get a little bit of kindness and respect from them. But now I'm thinking, damn it. My ex probably told all of them that I was some sort of crazy loser, schizophrenic or something. And she probably, she didn't tell them the whole story. So I told them all. So I sent message to all of them. I'm telling them, listen, your daughter was texting other guys. She's been disrespecting me the whole pregnancy. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I want people to know that I'm not the bad guy. Yes, I made a mistake in putting the daughter outside, but I want them to know that I was on edge. I'm not the bad guy. And all I want is to save my daughter's life and to take care of my girlfriend so she can be on bed rest because I wanted my baby to survive. So I'm asking them, can you guys help me to get back in good graces with my ex so that I can help my baby to survive? And at this point, I had taken everything off Facebook because I put stuff online so that people knew what was going on because I was scared that she was going to kill my daughter. But then, like I said, I continued to try to call her family, but her family ghosted me. They all blocked my number. So I couldn't get a hold of any of them. And I couldn't get a hold of my ex. So I'll get to what happens next.